December 8th, 2020. FireEye, one of the world's most elite cybersecurity firms, announces it has been hacked, not by amateurs, not by ransomware gangs, by a nation-state. Their red team penetration tools, the digital skeleton keys they use to test corporate defenses, are gone. Stolen. But that's not the worst part. While tracing how the intruders got in, FireEye's investigators discover something else. Something bigger. A backdoor. Hidden inside software trusted by the United States government, by Fortune 500 companies, by 18,000 organizations worldwide. The attackers weren't just inside FireEye, they were inside everything. Please, before we continue, like, subscribe to this channel, and comment below where you are watching from and the time you are seeing this video. Let's continue. 14 months earlier, in Austin, Texas, where a software company called SolarWinds is quietly breached. SolarWinds isn't a household name, most people have never heard of it, but it provides IT infrastructure management software to 425 of the Fortune 500, the US Treasury, the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security. Its flagship product, Orion, monitors the health of networks, servers, routers, applications. It sits deep inside the infrastructure. It sees everything. On September 4th, 2019, threat actors breach SolarWinds' internal systems. They don't smash through the front door, they slip in quietly. Investigators would later reveal the company had used SolarWinds 123 as a password for a file transfer server. The attackers are patient, methodical. They are APT-29, Advanced Persistent Threat 29, also known as Cozy Bear, a cyber espionage unit operated by Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, the SVR. This is not a smash-and-grab operation. This is reconnaissance. October 2019. The attackers begin experimenting. They inject test code into an Orion software update, a trial run to see if they can manipulate the build process without being detected. It works. SolarWinds' development team notices nothing. Inside the company's build environment, the hackers deploy a piece of malware called SUNBURST. It sits on the build servers, waiting. SUNBURST is designed to do one thing: watch for the exact moment when SolarWinds compiles a new version of Orion. When that moment comes, SUNBURST swaps in malicious code, embedding it into the legitimate software. Then it restores the original files and deletes its tracks. The build succeeds. The developers see no errors. The contaminated software is digitally signed by SolarWinds itself. Trusted, verified, no alarm bells. February 20th, 2020. The attackers compile the final version of their backdoor. They call it SUNBURST. It's a masterpiece of deception. SUNBURST is embedded inside a legitimate SolarWinds DLL file, solarwinds.orion.core.businesslayer.dll, digitally signed with SolarWinds' own certificate. To any antivirus software, to any security system, it looks authentic. March 26th, 2020. SolarWinds begins distributing software updates containing SUNBURST to its customers. 18,000 organizations download the poisoned update. The backdoor activates slowly. It waits up to 2 weeks before making its first move. This dormancy helps it avoid detection by automated security tools. When it wakes up, its SUNBURST uses a domain generation algorithm to contact its command and control server. The traffic is disguised to look like normal Orion telemetry, part of the Orion Improvement Program protocol. Security analysts watching network traffic see nothing suspicious. It's just SolarWinds doing what SolarWinds does. Spring and summer 2020. Across the United States, the attackers move laterally through victim networks. They don't hit everyone. Out of 18,000 infected organizations, they select fewer than 200 for further exploitation. The targets are strategic: the US Treasury Department, the Commerce Department, the State Department, the Department of Homeland Security, the National Institutes of Health, parts of the Pentagon, the Energy Department, and the National Nuclear Security Administration, Sandia and Los Alamos National Laboratories. Technology giants, Microsoft, Cisco, Intel. The attackers use PowerShell scripts to create remote tasks. They steal credentials. They disable security processes by modifying registry keys. They exfiltrate data. And they do it all while appearing as legitimate traffic. At the Treasury Department, the hackers breached the email accounts of senior leadership. Dozens of accounts compromised. At the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, investigators later find evidence of highly malicious activity. The SVR is conducting one of the most successful espionage operations in modern history. And no one knows, December 8, 2020. FireEye discovers it has been breached. Charles Carmichael, Senior Vice President at Mandiant, FireEye's incident response arm, leads the investigation. His team immediately asks, how did they get in? And they comb through 50,000 lines of source code, and they find it, a backdoor, embedded in SolarWinds Orion. Carmichael realizes the scale instantly. This isn't just about FireEye. Every organization using the compromised version of Orion is at risk. FireEye contacts SolarWinds. They contact law enforcement. On December 13, 2020, FireEye goes public with a carefully worded announcement. They've been hit by a sophisticated nation-state actor. 2 days later, December 15th, SolarWinds releases a software fix. The news breaks wide open. By December 17th, the list of confirmed victims is growing by the hour. The US government acknowledges that multiple federal agencies have been compromised. Russia denies involvement, but on January 5, 2021, a joint statement from the FBI, CISA, and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence formally attributes the attack to APT-29, the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service. The UK's GCHQ concurs. So does the National Security Agency. In April 2021, the UK government publicly exposes details of the SVR's cyber operations for the first time. Mandiant eventually merges its tracking of the campaign, initially called UNC 2452, into the known APT-29 threat group. The attribution is clear. This was Russia. Investigators reconstruct the timeline. The attackers were inside SolarWinds for over a year before anyone noticed. September 2019 to December 2020. 15 months. How did they stay hidden for so long? Because SolarWinds' security was weak. Former CEO Kevin Thompson testifies before Congress in March 2021. He faces pointed questions. Why was SolarWinds 123 used as a password? To why were basic security practices ignored? The New York Times reports that under Thompson's leadership, SolarWinds moved much of its engineering to satellite offices in Eastern Europe, including Belarus. Engineers in these offices had broad access to the Orion codebase. Security measures were skipped to save money. The technology was sophisticated. The malware was world-class. But the vulnerability was human. A weak password. Cost-cutting. Outsourced engineering with insufficient oversight. A PT-29 didn't need a zero-day exploit. They just needed the front door left unlocked. By the time the breach is contained, the damage is done. At least 9 federal agencies compromised. Approximately 100 private companies affected. Microsoft President Brad Smith calls it the most sophisticated nation-state assault in history. The U.S. government launches a massive investigation. Congress demands answers. SolarWinds faces a class action lawsuit from shareholders alleging the company failed to disclose known vulnerabilities. The company agrees to pay former CEO Kevin Thompson over $300,000 to assist with investigations and legal defense. The geopolitical fallout is severe. The US and its allies issue a joint advisory detailing APT-29's ongoing tactics. Russia continues to deny involvement, but the intelligence is unambiguous. The SolarWinds hack changes everything. It exposes the fragility of the software supply chain. A single compromised vendor can become a vector into thousands of targets. It proves that even the most secure networks, protected by the best cybersecurity firms, can be breached if the attacker is patient enough. And it demonstrates a fundamental truth. Technology doesn't fail on its own. It fails because humans fail first. A password. SolarWinds 123. A lack of oversight. A cost-cutting decision that saved money but opened the gates. A PT-29 didn't exploit a 0-day, they exploited trust.